Donna's World. Hello everyone, welcome to Donna's World. Thank God it's Friday. Today I want to talk about something pretty serious, being that I'm really concerned about the situation in Nigeria at the moment. When I turned 65 last October, I thought, you're definitely not getting any younger, Donu. You need to work less, relax more, and leave the sort of agitation and complaining to younger people. Because as a journalist, I've always been one to, take an interest in things that are going wrong in different countries across the world, whether it's America or Russia, Ukraine, India, Afghanistan, other African countries. And I really, really felt when I turned 65 that I'd reached the point at which I should become more of an observer than a complainant or an activist. But I find myself unable to take a back seat. And that's because what's happening in Nigeria is completely unacceptable. Let me just read you a few snippets from a statement issued by Chi Lael, the World Food Programme spokesperson for Nigeria. World Food Programme is a United Nations organization, and Chi Lael spoke on behalf of two other UN agencies and the World Food Programme, that is UNICEF, the UN Programme for Children, and the Food and Agricultural Organization, and the World Food Programme. For various reasons, including record inflation, climate shocks, and ongoing conflicts, the number of food insecure Nigerians is likely to reach 33 million this year, which is a sharp increase from the 25 million who need assistance today. And never before have there been so many people in Nigeria without food. The data shows that Nigeria faces a monumental hunger crisis in the second half of this year, particularly in the northern parts of the country. And as a result, there are 5.4 million children and 800,000 pregnant and breastfeeding women at risk of acute malnutrition. The speed of deterioration over the past year is alarming, and the scale has increased so much. I mean, there have always been issues around hunger, particularly in those parts of the country that are poorer, because, Nigeria is a huge country. In the south tends to be more affluent and more commercially viable, and the north tends to be more agrarian, if you like, more rural, and it's complicated. So these problems have always existed, but the issue is that now they are escalating to an alarming degree. I mean, they're much, much worse than they've ever been, and they're getting worse and getting worse really, really quickly. Just before Christmas, various organizations, including a Catholic church in Abuja, the capital city, tried to organize humanitarian exercises whereby they handed out food, basic foodstuffs to people who were hungry. Stampedes resulted. People waited all night for the food to appear. So, they knew that the Catholic Church and some other organizations were dishing out free food the following day. So they slept outside under the stars, bitten by mosquitoes, and waited patiently for this food to come. And when the people organizing the food distribution appeared, they just completely freaked out. And there was a stampede, there were stampedes, and several people died. Nobody knows the exact number. But let's just say that several people were killed in the desperate rush of poor people to get their hands on food for themselves and their families. Again, Nigeria has always had these charity drives where food was given out at Christmas or at Easter, special times of the year, Muslim holidays. But it's never been like this, where in the past people have queued up patiently, collected their little bag of rice or whatever they're being given and gone away. But this time, the desperation was frightening. And I'm sorry to say this, but the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has, in my opinion, shown completely inadequate levels of empathy. In fact, no real empathy at all. And it is within his powers to stem this humanitarian crisis and avert catastrophe. There are very wise old Nigerian politicians from the 50s and 60s who said, I mean, he wasn't poor himself. He was a well-educated man, and he was iconic. His name was Awolowo, Obafemi Awolowo. And he warned the Nigerian elites. He said, you know what? If you continue, I paraphrase, he did not, these are not his exact words. If you continue to neglect and traumatize the poor, their children will not allow your children to sleep. And I tell you, we're definitely heading in that direction. In fact, we're already in that direction. Because, I mean, I was kidnapped in 2015 by the children of the poor. And I spent 2 weeks with them listening to how they grew up and how they had suffered and how they had struggled to even find jobs. In some parts of this country, criminal activity is the only way to make a living. And there are just so many dysfunctions in the system which a good government would be able to correct. But I see no evidence of good governance. What I see is a greedy, selfish, often criminal elite pouncing on the resources in this country, which would be so rich because we have oil, we have several minerals like gold. Nigeria is potentially a sort of fantastically rich, prosperous country that is potentially comfortable for everybody. But no, I don't deny that I am a member of the elite. But there are quite a few members of the elite, like myself, who do not wish to be part of the stealing, the corruption, the selfishness. And, you know, there's a type of selfishness that boils down to manslaughter. Because if you steal money that's meant to go for vaccinations or, you know, to feed children or put them in school or give them medical care or take care of adults who are in need, if people die because you have stolen resources that belong to everybody, that is manslaughter. And I don't want to be part of it anymore. And for this reason, just when I should be winding down and becoming a sort of calm grandmotherly figure, watching everything from a distance and letting the young people do the fighting back, I find myself compelled to participate in the protest against bad governance. And I recently had meetings with the two main opposition figures in this country. One of them is a fantastic gentleman called Peter Obi, who ran for the presidency in 2023. I think he actually won, but you know, this is a country in which you can never be sure what the actual election result was, because there's so much rigging and malfeasance. Nobody knows who really won sometimes. I think Peter Obi won, and many other people think he won. But whether he won or not, he gained a lot of support and a lot of followers, and I am one of them. And because, you know, the guy, Peter Obi, he's very modest. He's not into flashy things. He's not a big womanizer. He doesn't have girlfriends with 1,000 diamonds around their necks, or he's not that interested in flashy cars. This man is actually a multi-billionaire. He has shares in banks. He has successful businesses. But he's very prudent and very modest. He only has one house in this country. He has, I think I probably live better than he does. And, I'm a complete pauper compared to him. So, he's got loads of money, but he doesn't splash it around. Apart from on charitable donations, I mean, he gives out a lot of money in charity in different parts of the country. But so anyway, so he ran for the presidency in 2023, and I was one of the people who voted for him, rooted for him, and many of us think that he won, but he was, diddled out of the victory by the people who claimed victory, which is the ruling party at the time. So Peter Obi was a kind of revolutionary figure. He's not a revolutionary himself, but he generated a sort of he led a populist revolution. There are loads of people voted for him, especially young people, educated people, people who have been dying for change, saw in him a hope for the future. So I voted for him, and then he didn't win. At least he wasn't declared winner, so I let it go. And then towards the end of last year, I thought, you know what? I wasn't happy with him because I thought he wasn't making enough noise for somebody who should be a strong opposition leader, because he's not an aggressive person. He's quietly spoken. He's a gentleman, like my late father. So anyway, I complained about his gentleness, and he came to see me, which is typical of him. So humble. I mean, he could have ignored me. I mean, I'm nobody compared to him. But he came to see me, came to my house, and we're going to show you some pictures of me and him together. It was a really happy, interesting discussion where he explained his vision to me, and I continued to stand by him, really. And then the other opposition figure that I have been following is a guy called Dele Farotimi. He's a lawyer and an activist who was recently jailed for complaining about corruption in the legal profession, and some powerful elements. A powerful individual got him locked up, using the police, abusing powers. And so he was in jail for nearly a month. And again, I supported him wholeheartedly. He's also a supporter of Peter Obi. And so I'm a supporter of both of them. And I've been privileged to meet both of them recently, one just before Christmas, one just after Christmas. And so looks as if my dream of having a quiet retirement at this age has to be put on hold, because I do feel that I feel a kind of moral obligation to join the protest on behalf of all those children who are dying, all those people who are going to go to bed hungry tonight. And I honestly, I will be delighted if more Nigerians join the chorus of disapproval against this government, because the more people who do, the more people like me, the older ones, we can step back and hand the banner or the baton over to younger people who've got the energy to go on protest marches and all the rest of it. Honestly, my dream is to go and sit, on a Caribbean island or in the south of France or somewhere really nice and sip cocktails and watch the world. And so I don't want to be a troublemaker, but I feel that I have to make a bit of trouble until things improve. So thank you for listening. Okay, so I'd like to thank the people who've taken the trouble to comment on the videos that came out during the holiday period. There's Cynthia Seagreen, or Seagren. There's Dragon Ball Fighter, I like that. There's Patricia Wask. There's Barbara Grace. There's Emma J Music. There is a Snarky Soprano, love that one too. There's Donna Berry. All of you have either agreed with me, some of the points I've made about assisted suicide. Some of you have made lovely comments about my goddaughter's wedding, which, by the way, was fabulous. If you didn't see it, the video about that, please scroll back and look for the video that came out on the 27th of December. That's my goddaughter's wedding. It was lovely. I mean, just thinking about it lifts my spirits, and I think seeing it will lift yours too. So, special word for sorry about that. Snarky Soprano spent Christmas Day quietly at home with her husband and her son, who is ill, and she FaceTimed with her granddaughters, and that was enough of a celebration for her. No big dinners, no cooking and cleaning, and she still feels blessed, and I hope she continues to feel blessed. And then quickly, comments attached to last Friday's video, which is where I asked people to forgive and forget, either to forgive people who've offended them or to seek forgiveness from people they have offended. And thank you very much for business and management lessons. Patricia, V. Ogulu, who's my cousin, who all agreed with me that forgiveness is a great thing to do. And I actually talked about my brother, who's been at loggerheads with my family for some time. And I'm still hoping that we manage to heal the rift with him. And Vera, who's a member of the family, shares that wish here in the comments. And I'll just end with someone called Bella Dolce, who accuses me of hating Harry and Meghan and hopes that in 2025 I display less hatred and leave them alone because it's none of my business. That is, their lives are none of my business. Bella Dolce, get one thing straight. You have a right to contact me. I am your business because I put out YouTube videos exposing myself to the world, which gives you a right to comment on what I think and what I say. Harry and Meghan do the same thing. They put out videos and documentaries on Netflix or wherever, podcasts. And so everybody is entitled to comment on the things they do and say. And I have no apologies to make about the fact that they behave as if they've never made any mistakes, and as if all the problems they have with her family and his family are everybody else's fault. I'm not saying that they haven't been wronged, maybe they have, but I'm just urging them to heal rifts with people like her 80-year-old father before it's too late. He has never met Harry. He has never met his grandchildren. She used to love him. And if urging somebody to patch up their differences with a very elderly relative is hatred, then you have one hell of a warped attitude towards the world. And might I say, you are heartless if you do not find the situation sad. Yeah? So don't you tell me to mind my business, because it's as much my business as it is yours and everyone else's, because they have put themselves out there in the public space. They have done interviews, and we are allowed to have a say about what they have said. Okay? So, thank you very much to everybody who has listened today. Hope you have the time to tune into my video next Wednesday, which will be about wellness, weight loss, the usual mental health and physical health issues. And then if you don't have time for next Wednesday's video, at least tune into next Friday's video. Thank you for listening.